What is up guys, my name is Chase, and I hate my life. I wish there was a video game that let me have a better life than my real life. Neat. This is Miitopia. So to all of our friendos who have been living under a rock, Mii avatars were originally introduced with the Nintendo Wii. The Wii allowed you to create your own custom avatar that would be used in games like Wii Sports. And I guess Miis were such a huge hit that Nintendo continued milking the heck out of these electronic avatars for over 10 years. When the Nintendo 3DS came out in 2011, Nintendo started branching out with the Mii concept. They introduced the Street Pass feature, which allowed you to greet Miis of anyone who was nearby and had their 3DS in standby mode. I honestly had a blast with this feature because it showed me just how many nerds there were around me. It's like I was able to meet people without actually having to meet people. Later down the line, Nintendo also introduced some Mii games on the 3DS such as Find Me, Mii Force, Mii Trek, and more. This was all leading up to what would eventually become Miitopia, released on the 3DS in 2017. Keep in mind that 2017 was the year that the Switch was released. So by the time this game was released on the 3DS in 2017, I had thrown that piece of garbage in the bin and moved on to bigger and brighter things with the Switch. And it shows because after being released on the Switch on May 21st, 2021, the Switch version sold 36% more copies than the 3DS version in the UK, and 3 times the amount of copies than the 3DS version in Japan. Anyway, the story of Miitopia is told somewhat similar to a play. Throughout the game, you assign the roles of characters to different Miis. These can be either ones that you personally create, or you're able to receive Miis through the internet via codes or by searching through a list of the popular Miis. One day, an evil Dark Lord shows up and starts yeeting people's faces all throughout Miitopia. These faces are put onto enemies that are trying to stop you in your tracks. So it becomes your job as the hero to retrieve all of the faces scattered throughout Miitopia and ultimately defeat the Dark Lord. If you know me, you probably know that RPGs aren't my favorite thing in life. And most of the time, it's because of the combat system. I usually don't really like the idea of battling enemies, but all you're really doing is just reading a wall of text. And for the most part, that's pretty much what Miitopia is. You pick an attack or a skill, bop the enemy, and then the next person's turn. To be honest, this was kind of disappointing to me when I first started playing. I was hoping there would be some kind of unique combat mechanic similar to the Mario RPGs or Undertale. While it doesn't necessarily have something completely unique, there are some little interesting things thrown into the battles in Miitopia, such as the safe spot, which allows your team members to recover. You can ride on your horse and do some extra damage, and you have some sprinkles that you Salt Bae onto your teammates. Along with that, the fact that the characters in the game are Miis that you casted yourself makes it fun to see them express their emotions or use different fighting tactics on enemies. Seeing my stupid little Mii start crying during battle is the most accurate thing I've ever seen in my life. Now with that being said, here's what I think the biggest flaw with Miitopia is. It's too hecking long. So about a quarter through the game, surprise, the Dark Lord takes all of your teammates and all of your special powers. So you're forced to make a new team and give yourself a new job. This honestly felt like a big heck you to people like me who put way too much time and effort into crafting our perfect team. But I mean, whatever, it's a big surprise and it was definitely a major shift in the story. I'm sure it won't happen again. No, do we have to make another team? Oh my goodness, how many teams do we have to make? Heck. After you spend some time with your second team, the Dark Lord comes back and takes your teammates again. So now you're on your third team, and I'm just thinking, at this point, just go alone on your journey. We're going through teammates as quickly as my IRL relationships. It also doesn't help that the game ends up feeling quite repetitive after a while. I think if the game had started wrapping up after you make your second team, I would have said that that was a pretty decent length. But it just keeps on going and going and going. And honestly, this game just doesn't really feel like it had enough depth to be worth pushing on with the story for hours and hours on end. Plus the combat system, while it's fun to see your Miis do their whole battle routine, it can get old pretty fast. You learn new skills and gain new attacks, but for the most part, the combat is pretty much just choose your favorite go-to attacks, rinse and repeat. Another thing I found frustrating with Miitopia is that although the game's main gimmick is to give you so much customization options with casting your Miis in different roles, it gets to the point where there are honestly too many roles to fill. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm completely aware that the amount of people I know in real life is about as small as my self-esteem, but I refuse to believe that anyone playing Miitopia actually knows enough people to fill all of the roles in this game. Granted, the game does give you some default characters to cast in these roles. However, the game is most fun when you come up with some wacky or interesting Miis to be in your story. Steve Harvey. Actually, that works really well. So having to either make a bunch of Miis or having to scour the web for Miis to download can become really daunting and difficult. But hey, I'm sure if you have some creativity, you can come up with some really silly characters to fill these roles. Overall, I think Miitopia is a cute and silly little casual RPG that gives you the ability to create some wacky scenarios with whatever characters you would like. Being able to have a game filled with friends, family, or literally anyone you want is actually really fun. And it's especially funny to see how people you know in real life are incorporated into the story. And the fact that this game is $50 US, $10 less than the normal video game price, plus I've even seen it go on sale a few times, I think it's a pretty good pickup if you're into RPGs, especially since you do get around 30 hours of gameplay. Let me know in the comments if you guys have played Miitopia. If you want to see more of my video game reviews, make sure you check out some of the videos below. If you like this video, feel free to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and ring that notification bell. For now, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye.